And even if a person maybe want to work for the phone company their whole life, the phone company doesn't want them for their whole life. They want to sort of get them when they're young, but then they get rid of them when they have wisdom and experience and everything. That's when they get rid of them for the young people. So I began to sort of see, what is our CFR community, which began in 1987. What will it look like, 40 years even from now? Considering the stuff that you have to work with, people. Now when a young person calls for vocational work, it would be unusual. It would be unusual for this person not to have some problem with pornography. Hate to say it, but it's the sad truth. Now back in the 50s and the 60s, or 60s or whatever, it would be very unusual if you had a person that or even if they admitted it. But today it's not the exception, it's the rule. So what do you do with a young candidate that comes in, now maybe when he was 15, and as a matter of fact there's a 15-year-old right now as I speak somewhere that is caught up in this whole thing, and it's hard to get out of it. Maybe when they're 20, they're going to have some type of a conversion, or they're going to have some type of whatever, and they're going to be getting some grace, and they're going to be able to get out of it. But it's also part of them. It's part of them. So you may sort of stop looking, but now you have a whole file cabinet in your head. So this is a whole generation. This is our future. Husbands, priests, bishops. I mean, where do bishops come from? Where do priests come from? They come from the general population of people. So now, while once again they are no longer engaged in that activity, it's been part of their formation. This is where we're at. And quite frankly, it's sort of worldwide. Now I was down in Haiti, and I remember that. Now, when you're in what's called the third world country, we're in Honduras, or if you're in some places where it's not highly technologically advanced. They have some of the people down there have very little. But they have one another. And if you want to hear kids laugh, go to Haiti or go to Honduras where they're kicking remember kick the can? That's what they're doing, kick the rock. Or they have sticks or whatever they're doing. But they're laughing. But when all of these things become available, even for people like this, up in the mountains, in far-flung places, in the mountains, where you don't have running water, they have a phone. They have the internet. I'm not too sure, quite frankly, and I'm not saying this to hang, I'm not a crepe hanger. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to get out of it. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to get out of it. So we're moving in a direction in a society, and even in our country, and many of you grew up in this country, not everyone, but it's a different country. Now, was everything great in the 50s? Oh, maybe not if you were African American, or mentally retarded, or whatever. Maybe not everything was that great for you back then. But the general sweep of things is that things are not good, and they're not quickly getting better. So what do we do? Now, 10 minutes from here is Bethel, New York. In Hebrew, it means the house of God. In 1968, it was a house of maybe the devil. That's where Woodstock was. Where they got Woodstock was, originally it was supposed to be in Woodstock, New York. Evidently they printed the tickets And at the last minute, they had to move the venue because they couldn't do it in Woodstock, so now they moved to Bethel. They had a farmer here that said, "You go, you wanna use my property, it's okay." And so now it's Woodstock. Actually, there's supposed to be a pretty interesting or pretty good museum on the property there. But basically, it was an event which sort of epitomized, if you will, the rebelliousness of the age. And sometimes you rebel against things which are not good, or they were not perfect, or they were not healthy, and whatever. So you could rebel against something, and so you're rebellious. But whatever it was, it seems that in the '60s things began to slide. I think, historically speaking, and I'm not a historian or a sociologist, but what if you step back and look, things probably became untethered. If they began to slide in the '60s, at least here in the United States or in America and Western, things began to be untethered in the '20s. None of us are around for that, but we call it the Roaring '20s, right? And this is the beginning of Hollywood, of cinema, of, and there was a lot of creepy people that were behind that whole thing. A lot of creepy people. Creepy, but anyway. But the silent stars. The people started. Then they went into talkies. Movies. They're moving movies. And but these things really shaped the American culture. Then we had the television, and everyone sat around the big television in the living room. It was black and white. And it began very early in the morning with 4-H Club, which got people from Illinois or some God-forgiven place. They were, and then it ended with the Star Spangled Banner at 12 o'clock, and that was it. You couldn't see anything bad on television. In fact, it was actually somewhat even the opposite. It was a little bit puritanical. If you watch Dick Van Dyke, the bedroom had 2 beds in it. There was no one bed. You couldn't show one bed. And if 2 people were on one bed, by law, you had to have one person have their foot on the ground. By law. So all of this was swept away just within a few years. Whether it be by design or diabolical instigation, maybe by both. Whatever it was, things began to slide very, very quickly. Yeah. Once again, was everything perfect before that in the world? No, we had World War I, we had World War II, we had the Korean War, we had Vietnam War. And now we have what's going on now. So, but I would have to say, so that things in society have gotten, but it's what was on the surface now began to seep to the center. And the center, of course, is the family, but also it's the human person, the individual. So you have the individual, then you have a family, and then you have whatever, you have institutions like the church or whatever it might be, or you have the educational system, you have the government, this, that. But if you will, once the things went down to the individual, where now an individual does not know who they are, or denying who they are, or acting contrary to their nature, something's very wrong. Something's very wrong. And we know that the family is definitively at this particular point is under attack. Now, are you getting some pushback in all of these things? Interestingly, you are. While things are getting worse, there are some things that are getting better. There are little pockets of them, like you. Pockets of sanity, pockets of just goodness, pockets of people that simply just want to live a life pleasing to God and pleasing to men. There's little groups of them. But that's how things grow. That's how things change. That's how things that are corrupted reach a point, and it's sort of like a firewall which keeps the corruption from hitting the heart or the brain or whatever. It sort of prevents it. So I began to ask myself, what's the future of the CFRs, which a lot of people look towards as orthodox and relevant and if our pool of vocations is poisoned, where are we going to fish? Where are you going to get the people that you want? Now again, we're getting them. In fact, Brother Patrick gave me our list. Every year we come out with a list of everyone. We use it for prayer, and it has the names of everyone from the beginning. So it's funny, I'm sort of near the top because it says Father Benedict, and he has a cross at the back, at the end of his name. And there's Father Andrew, and he has a cross. And then Father Robert, he has a cross.
Oh no.
I'm next.
You'll get a cross.
Yeah, I'll get a cross. Not too soon, thank you. So we've been trying to we've been trying to go past 130 members for a few years now. And we were getting guys, but they come and they don't stay. Thank God they're not leaving because they're scandalized or they're disappointed or this and that. Thank God. We've had plenty of those people that came into the church and left for those reasons. Thank God. But the point being is that he just handed me the thing. He says, we passed 130, so now it's 145. Now, that will be 145 6 months from now or a year from now? Maybe not. Because you do have some people who are discerning, and that's okay. They're into discerning. Postulants, novices. Caleb, who's upstairs, he was a novice. And he decided that he was going to go out. Well, he's going to be going back in again after some time of renewal and this and that, maybe. So all is not lost, but what does it have to do with you and what you're doing? To change the world, what can we do? We can only do what we can do. But we've been given the impression that somehow this is someone else's job, and especially if you grew up in the 50s or the 60s, and the job of religious type of things is the job of the priest and the sister and maybe the brother, and that's sort of their job. When I was a boy, I was sent to Our Lady Help of Christian School in Brooklyn, New York. The Sisters of Charity, not the Missionaries of Charity, the Sisters of Charity, Elizabeth Ann Seton's group, taught me. We had 18 sisters in our grade school. During the summers, I went here not too far from here, Goshen, New York. I went to the Salesians of St. John Bosco for 10 years, 10 summers of my life.
Wow.
They shipped me away when I was 6 years old. 6 weeks during the summer, right?
Wow.
6 weeks during the summer. It was great. Very formative. Great memories. Then I went to I went to Brooklyn Prep, which is a Jesuit school. It closed around 1972. I graduated in 70. But I got some good foundation. But there are children now growing up because there's no Catholic grade school. They closed it. There's no Catholic high school. They closed it. Where are they going to get it? From their parents?
No.
The parents are lost. Now you have kids who are going to church on Sunday, and they're trying to get their parents to go. It's a little bit zany. Whatever it is, it's where we're at. And so what to do? Well, I'm not exactly sure what to do, but I can sort of say what not to do. I would not spend too much time taking in what's going on in the world. Because now you get too much information. In the past, there was always nonsense going on. There was always clergy swinging from chandeliers or something, whatever they did. There was always politicians that were, chasing after little kids. You always had that. We didn't really know about it. Now to know about it, so well, all of this stuff was going on, and I had a lady just recently who was telling me, she goes, well, the world, there's always been bad things happening in the world, and during this time of Saint Benedict, and Rome was being sacked, and I told her, I says, I know that what you're saying is true. I says, but back then, if you had an arrow. Today you have a nuclear warhead. There's always been war. There's always been conflict. but there's more damage you could do today. And yes, there's always been war. There's always been abortion or things like that, or prostitution. That will always be there. But when you legalize them, or make them actually a positive thing. So prostitution now, they're presenting it as sex work. Is there anything wrong with work? What's wrong with work? Who are you to tell me that what I can do with my body? This is work. I'm always better than you. This is how they're presenting it. So what do? My suggestion for the Society of St. Lydia, try as best as you can, is to wean yourself away from social media. Wean yourself away. While it may not necessarily, what you're watching may not be poison, it just may be popcorn. And popcorn just takes up space, and your body needs nutrients. And if you're just eating popcorn, it's not Drano, but it's not protein. So everyone was I was kidding upstairs about the Toms drive me crazy. And if I want to pick up my bread, I'm going to pick up my bread. If I want to pick up a cookie, I'm going to pick up a cookie. And listen, everyone was very concerned about hygiene and touching and spraying and gloves and this. I got it to a point. But to a point, it gets zany and it becomes unhealthy. If not unhealthy because people don't have enough germs in their body to ward off germs, because you have to have a certain amount of something. Then they start, now you start getting obsessive compulsive. And so you're obsessing about this, obsessing about that, and you have people walking around Manhattan today, they're still wearing masks. They don't know why they're wearing them, but they're wearing them. They're wearing it wrongly, but they're wearing them. It's not healthy. Something's wrong. And to try to tell a person like this is something's wrong. There seems to be a lack of, we talked about wisdom today, there seems to be a lack of wisdom and maturity and insight and foresight. So you have people who are adults chronologically. They're adolescent at best emotionally. So they put up tattoos all over their body, even in places that are not like Uncle Pete had the anchor from the Navy. But they're all, you've seen them. Bless you. Is there any thought that somehow in the future you may regret of having your arms and legs and your neck and your feet and everything like that with cartoon characters? Did you think of, can you fast forward the tape a little bit in Italian?
What does that mean?
It
That means
whatever. It's different than this. That's different. This is two fingers like this, and it's like whatever.
It's a nice version.
No, it's different.
Oh,
This
okay.
is go take a hike.
Oh,
No, this is like whatever.
okay.
I don't care.
Oh, okay.
I don't care.
Thank you.
So, but this it's like, how is it that a person could and not think of what it looks like, my kids. I don't have to. I'm talking to the choir here. Let me return. What to do, maybe what not to do. Try to wean yourself away. Now, Patricia has heard this, and maybe Sophia has heard this, and maybe some of you who heard me speak before. I tell people, if you knew what was going on, a mile radius from where you're sitting now, even here in Monticello, even if you're in Monticello, if you knew everything that was going on a mile radius from where you're sitting right now, you would either throw up, faint, or call 911. Is it the truth though?
Yes.
That's not my raises. And if you think I'm a little bit exaggerating, okay, put it 2, thank you. We're getting too much information. Now, they don't have door-to-door salesmen anymore. We do have Jehovah's Witnesses, but no door-to-door salesmen. But when they came to the door years ago, the person comes to the door and they want to sell you a subscription to a magazine. You don't want it. And so it's like, right after 30 seconds, they know, because that's what they do for a living, they know you don't want it. And so now they have to sort of keep you because maybe you'll change your mind. And so now from the magazine, what they're selling you the magazine, now they start telling you different things that are going on, maybe in the neighborhood, neighbors, or people that you either know or don't know, whatever it is. It's like, what do I need to know this? Whatever. When that starts running out of steam, or maybe they start giving you their political opinion of the elections, or this, or that, or they start telling you world events, but it's a little bit skewed according to their whatever, progressive, to conservative, this and that. St. Thomas Aquinas says a half-truth is a whole lie. So they're giving you a half-truth, and you sort of know it. And then the pièce de résistance is to start showing you some nasty pictures or pornography or pictures. There's a person at your door.
No.
What would you do, or what should you do? Tell me. Come on.
Close the door.
What? Slam the door. Slam the door. And lock it. The problem is if you have a television in your house, you're inviting them into your house. Doing the same thing. They're selling you things that you really don't want, but they'll keep talking. You want the commercial run, and they start telling you things about this actor and this political this and this that and this prelate and this up with this and that, and then they'll start this, and then it's rumors, and it's gossip. It's gossip. That's what they call the gossip column, remember? And then there's the pornography. Now, I haven't watched television in a long time, and when people tell me sometimes that they show that on regular television, is really a regular television? Yeah, you see that. So these people are coming into your house and walking around. Why? Is because we forgot that years ago it was a popcorn machine, and we enjoyed Addams Family, and we enjoyed this, and Leave It to Beaver, and you name the shows, we enjoyed them. They were very simple shows. The commercials had little jingles on it. You could trust the car to the man who is. So you could whatever it might be. It was entertainment, and it was fun. Okay, it was popcorn. I probably would have done better if I read more when I was a boy. If I read more, but my parents were blue collar. They weren't readers themselves, so they're going to tell me to, Glenn, go read your book. So what do you do? Well, maybe it's what you don't do. Maybe you shouldn't walk around the house with your phone. Maybe you should put it like we used to hang it on the phone was on the wall, or the phone was on the thing. What's the big thing about having why would you have to have the phone in your pocket? Why don't you simply just put it in a place and you walk around the house, and then now and again you go and look just like I do, and I see the red light blinking. Oh, someone called. It's Sophia. But why is it? It's that we have to have I have to get the information now. They need to know the information now. I have to text now. They're texting me now. They have to everything. It's not healthy. Step back and look at it. But even you have now sort of entered into that world, and you see it's impossible. It's almost impossible. Would you go out of your house even for a walk without the phone? or you did in the past, everyone else did it in the past, but you never, then a UFO may come, or there could be a fire, or I need to know my kids, or my this, my that. It's like you, when you go home, you find the fire truck in front of your house, you say, my house is burning. But how often does that happen? How often do these emergencies happen? And how often do we find we use all of these things as excuses because it's a blankie? It's a blankie. I feel better having this because I got my phone, I have my this, I have my that, I have that. Sometimes I'm with the person, I'm making an appointment with them, and I said, well, Father, when can we get together? I said, so I take out my planner, whatever, just, planner, a pen. I said, what about Saturday the 12th, this and that? And they're like, Saturday the 12th. Here's another one. Times a little with frustration. This is minor, this is like, what's going on? What is this? This is, God help me. So, if you want to enter into the interior life, if you want to enter into your soul and prepare it for your day of demise, which for all of us is in the foreseeable future. It's in the foreseeable future. Then begin to wean yourself away from the world. Now, does this mean that you're not going to know anything that's going on? I know what's going on. The poor people in Lebanon and with the Hezbollah and with Hamas and I know what's going on, and it's awful. Millions of people don't even know where to go. And we're sitting here having our little cookies upstairs. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be, but I'm just saying that a lot of people are hurting badly. It's good for us to know that's primarily so that we could pray. Primarily so that we can pray and intercede. But I know what I'm getting over the news is not everything. I'm getting 1/4 of the whole thing. Trust, listen, whatever they tell you is not the whole story. Come on. You don't even tell the whole story about their family to people, this and that. You give them, my son's after, or my sister-in-law's after, or you don't give people every jot and tittle of what's going on. It's none of their business. But we're getting the news according to what they want us to know. It's not a conspiracy thing. I think it's just common sense. And if there was someone here from CBS or NBC or whatever, they would, it's true. They wouldn't say we're not doing it for selfish motives, although it is. So wean yourself away from the world. Start living a little bit more simply. Do you need the penny? Do you need the nanny? I mean, every week. And now there's every part of the body now is these are beauty parlor is a beauty parlor. So now it's earlobes now, and then it's this, and then it's eye thing, and then it's eyelashes, and now I just say thing with lips, and then you get full lips and this and that. It's like every part of the body now. You have to do something in order to make it more beautiful and this and that. It's ludicrous. And compared to what's going on in the world, it's sinful. So the people that stand before the Lord and you have all those tattoos, you know how much that tattoo cost? You know how much it costs to feed a kid in Central America or in the mountains somewhere? You know how much that costs them? So we get away with nothing. I'm just going to say that God is going to cast us in the fiery furnace. But you have to go to those courtyards. I mean, going through the courtyards and getting some people have their tattoos removed. Find a place and a time where you pray. You don't have a chapel at home. We have the Blessed Sacrament with us. Make a chapel. Now, some people who are empty nest, what do you call empty nesters, whatever. Or some people, that they have they're using the spare bedroom for just collecting their stuff, which should get rid of anyway. And so, why don't you make a little room, put a crucifix on the wall and make a little table, put the word of God there, you know, whatever, rosary beads, light a candle. I remember being with Father Benedict. Father Benedict would give retreats to Dolores Hope. Remember Bob Hope's wife? She was a very devout Catholic. And some of the old Hollywood people now, they're probably, I think we're all gone. Anyway, so we went to Bob, the Hope's house in Palm Springs, one of their homes. And it was a big place, a big pool and this and that. And outside the front door was a big medallion of Our Lady, I didn't meet Dolores Hope, but Dolores told Father Benedict, Bob calls me Mother Superior. He converted to Catholicism. He was an Anglican. He converted before he died. But my point being is that they had a chapel in their home. It was just a small room, and the priest friends would come over and celebrate. They didn't have a tabernacle, of course, but they would celebrate Mass there. But to have a place of prayer, have a place where you could close the door behind you, and which could signal to your spouse or to your family members or to whomever that you're praying. That's where you are. I don't want to get a phone call. Leave your phone out, of course. Put it in a box. Put it in a basket. Put it somewhere in the house where, and once in a while, whenever you go by, you want to check it. But again, who's calling you? Maybe if it's an emergency, you got to keep it on hand. Or if it's a real emergency, someone's in the hospital, someone's on hospice, someone's whatever. Okay, I want to make sure that. But you know what? 98% of our life is really not emergency, but we act like it's an emergency. So put the thing away, and to tell you the truth, you'll breathe easier. Your head will be more cleared, but everyone knows everything about everything, and everyone has an opinion about everything. So the Pope sneezes, and before you know it, now do you hear that the Pope sneezes in someone's face? And you listen to that, and he's a heretic, you know what I mean? And then the president, he's an imbecile, and it's like, all of this is a sin. I don't know, Mr. Biden. I should call him an imbecile. He's not an imbecile. Just because I may disagree with something, who am I to call someone an imbecile? Or to call someone a heretic? Who am I? Let the Pope be the Pope. Popes come and go. Let the President be the President. Presidents come and go. Everything comes and goes. Everything comes and goes. And so we can't put our hope in one person, one political party, one pope, one whatever. Our hope is in Christ. Now, am I talking about that? All of a sudden now you're going to be weird, and you don't want to read the newspaper, or I don't know. Don't be weird. Don't be worldly. People are afraid of being weird, and so they're worldly. And worldliness comes in all different shapes and sizes. And the gospel today was about the woman, about the man who Jesus told him to give some of his money to the poor and follow me. Because Jesus knew where his weak spot was, so he went for that. He's not asking everyone in the world to give. He went to this guy, you. Many years ago, I had a lady in confession. I could hear, she was on the other side of the screen. She was elderly. I could hear the voice. She was like this. She was talking. She was furious at her sister because the sister took some of her salt and pepper shakers. She had a collection. I said to her, "Are you serious? At your age, you should be getting rid of stuff." I could just hear she was that old. But we can hold on to little things and so begin to let go, because all of us are making our way the entrance, hopefully, entrance, at least to Christ. You know, when you're in the Department of Motor Vehicles, you know, you're, God forbid, you know, notice in the Department of Motor Vehicles, there's a sign, abandon hope, all ye who enter. It's above the door. Oh, here's a little something, if you want to go to you have to get your license changed or something like that, come up here to Monticello. A acidic guy here, an old man here, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. If I was from Manhattan, I would come up here. Because I'll go to Hermitage, I go to the retreat house, and then from there, I get my license renewed because it's but you know, when you're online, and you're the person in the, and they have this stamp, you know, sometimes it's even when you're going on the stamping your passport. Next. Well, in life, when you're young, then you're in your 30s. Next. Now you're in your 40s. Next. Next. And you make your way up. You make your way up. We're making our way up. So what are we waiting for? You're not going to leave the world and become a cloistered nun. They wouldn't have you. But you're not called to be a cloistered nun. You're called to be a disciple. So when everything is broken and we see our society and we see everything shattered and broken, and what's the reaction is, oh my God, you hear the president this and then she's Harris and don't do that. Society's here, lady, do this. Let me sleep. And look around, and when everything's shattered, you'll see two pieces that you think could fit together. So, put them together. Oh wow, they match. You put little pieces together. They're between your toes. You're responsible for those pieces. I'm not. And neither is the Pope, neither is the President, and anyone in between. They're not responsible for the pieces at their feet. You're responsible for what's around you, for what you could see and how far you could reach. That's what you're responsible for. And you don't have to be a saint. You don't have to be an extraordinary person. You know, so Sophia was used as an instrument in order with Father Giuseppe in order to begin this. You see, just one person. But you do something. Stop complaining, or as they say here in Monticello with the Jews, kvetching. Don't kvetch. Don't kvetch. Do you know what they do? This is my latest joke. First of all, two jokes. One, this is called Sullivan County. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Sullivan. I call it Solomon County. And when the Jews, and you have some Jews that convert to Catholicism, do you know what their favorite song is? You know what their favorite song is?
No.
Oy vey, So this is where we're at. So no complaining, and just to go back to the beginning, and then we'll conclude. I came across a quote. Some of you might have heard this because I've shared it before publicly. Because people ask me, why did you begin the farm and this and that and so on. So, but I came across a quote from a cardinal, Cardinal Sarah. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's excellent. Anything that he's written, just read. He's right on. And if we're going to have an African pope, oh boy, he would be the man of the hour.
Yes.
But this is what he wrote, and You talked about Chanakalo down in Medjugorje. The Chanakalo is a place where the young guys went and who had addictions and this and that, but it's really through manual work and through adoration of the Blessed Sacrament and praying the Rosary that the guys are healed. And because it's a place, and some of you are familiar with the Most Blessed Sacrament Friary in Newark. Have any of you been there? So it's okay. So that's a place where people could go once a month. The lay associates go there, sort of like what you have with the. But Cardinal Sarah says we must create places where virtue can flourish. It is time to regain the courage of nonconformism. Christians must have the strength to form oases where the air is breathable, where quite simply Christian life is possible. I call on Christians to open oases of gratuitiveness in the desert of triumphant profitability. Yes, you cannot be in the desert of society without God. A Christian who remains alone is a Christian in danger. He will eventually be devoured by the sharks of the trading society. Christians must gather in communities around churches. They must rediscover the vital importance of an intense, continuous, and persevering life of prayer. We must create places where the heart and mind can breathe, where the soul can turn to God in a very concrete way. Our communities must put God at the center of our lives, our liturgies, and our churches. When I read that, I kept saying, we have to create places, we have to create places, we have to create places. And I thought of Chanakalo, I thought of the Most Blessed Sacrament Friary. We have to create a place where people like yourself can come and breathe some air and sort of say, you know what, I'm not crazy. But the oasis doesn't have to be a geographical like it is here, but it can be just as real in a society like you have, in a group of people where you both agree and everyone agrees. Is 2 + 2 4? Yeah, what else is it going to be? I don't know, everyone's laughing at me. Why? Because I said it's 4. What else is 2 + 2? Is that white? Yes. Is that brown? Yes. Well, why? Why are you asking me? Because everyone's telling me that it's not white and it's not brown. What do they think it is? I don't know. You sure? Trust me, it is. One of the things that I learned in being an exorcist and dealing with people who have demonic problems is everything that the church teaches is true. I always believed it, but when you're involved with dealing with people that have demonic problems and this and that, and you see the power of grace and you see the intercession of the saints or whatever you see, it's true. Everything the church teaches is true. That's why you stick in this, you stick together, you're fine. You have no idea what's going to happen out there. You know what? It's not that you don't care. You don't have power and authority and influence out there. But here we could meet. Here we could support one another. Here we could pray with one another. Here we could learn about our Catholic faith. Here we could grow as friends. Here we could maybe even challenge one another in a healthy way as sisters, you know, that a person I may even sort of see my faults and my failures and my whatever in a group, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. But whatever it is, whatever you are doing right now, may be not only the only thing, the only really practical thing that you could do in the world, it's probably the best thing that you could do. So I want you to continue and to go deeper in the faith, and we will have little to fear, and this is the time which that even though we don't know what the future holds for the country, while people complain and while people are going to get angry or whatever anger, there's going to be aggression, there's going to be name calling, there's going to be bitterness and resentment. It has to happen when you have fiddly dum and fiddly dee. And this is the best that we could do as a country. I don't know, but you know what? I don't know. But I'm not going to fall into despondency, depression, anger, name calling, listening to people's opinions, giving my opinion. You know what? Let it be for the love of God. Wherever it goes, it goes. I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna snug up, I'm gonna be close, I'm gonna be in the arms of Jesus, and that's it. Just one last little poem, which you're familiar with, but it has some type of benefit or truth to it. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and all the king's horses and all the king's men could not put Humpty Dumpty back together again. But the king can. The king can. So whatever's broken in this world or in your world, trust in him. Give it to him. And he'll put all the pieces back together in a most wonderful way. May Christ be praised. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Could we have from 3:30 to 4:30? Is that too late? Or maybe some people can't stay, or those who want to stay. Okay, so from 3:30 to 4:30, we're going to, I'm going to expose, we'll have the Blessed Sacrament exposed for it's going to be a quiet holy hour. Some of you cannot stay if you, it will take 15 minutes for you to decide on what you want to do. Even if you want to stay, sometimes there's some of you scoot out, because I think some of you came together, I presume, right? Right, so you may, those little groups that came together to decide what you want to do. So, because you're more than welcome to, as we begin the holy hour, you can just quietly leave through the, you know what I mean? Sound good? So in 15 minutes, we'll meet here for those who want to begin the holy hour and stay as long as you want or can. I'll also have, some of you asked me, but I'll put some of the books upstairs, and well, the books are $200. It's a special thing for you. It's $18.98 on Amazon. This and that. No, it's $19.90. Come on, throw a $20 bill in it. If you don't have any cash, just take the book and send me something in the mail or whatever. It's up to you. I'll put the books upstairs.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.